Hello, dearest heroes. Nick here from The Real Heroes Show to talk about Peacemaker Episode 5 entitled Monkey Dory instead of Hunky Dory, right? You might want to ask yourself, why is it called Monkey Dory? Well, if you've watched the episode, you damn know why it's called Hunky or Monkey Dory and not Hunky Dory. I'm going to break this video up into 4 different talking points, and I'll put chapters in the description below in case you want to flip around. Choice is yours. There will be spoilers, so if you haven't watched the episode, go watch it first and come back here and watch me talk about these points. Point number 1, August Smith. He's still a piece of shit. He still ruins the Aryan Empire. He almost gets out, and he doesn't. He wants to kill his son. But for some reason, Detective Song is somehow disappointed that he doesn't stay locked in jail. And sure, she wants to abide by the law and get the right person for it. And she even says at the end of the episode, or towards the end of the episode, to the new captain that she gets that he's a bad guy, but she wants to get the right person that's responsible for the crime scene, i.e. Chris Smith, i.e. Peacemaker. I'm sorry, she just should have left him in there. But we'll get to that point in just a moment. Listen, he is just he's just one damn bad egg. And I think at this point he's probably going to be a side villain, or maybe ends up being like a villain that Peacemaker and the gang have to deal with simultaneously while dealing with Project Butterfly. As we see at the end of the episode, Soph and the other detective go to her uncle's, who hilariously is named Judge Judy, but he goes by William Judy. But you got to throw that little joke in there too. And the whole idea is so that she can go over, the new captain's head. And again, if we pay attention to the end of the episode going into next week, the little teaser is that August gets out of jail. So that's inevitable. I'm sure her uncle's going to come through and he'll be released. Second point, the humor. The PowerPoint presentation was hilarious. I mean, the list of names that John Cena as Peacemaker just runs off, in the actual episode and then in the slight post-credit. It didn't, I don't know if I want to call them outtakes, because it's not like they mess up or anything like that. It's just more sort of like a deleted scene, right? But in the deleted scene, he's like Mario, Luigi, Big Bird, Bert, Ernie, Grimace, Ronald McDonald, like Ice-T, Ice Cube, Vanilla Ice, like, and then he starts talking about Seth Meyers, Jay Leno, Conan O'Brien, like, he goes, yeah, I understand. And then the economist says, I understand that some of those people should be in jail, but Ariana Grande, not her. She's too innocent. He's like, probably. Just hilarious. I don't know why that part just made me laugh, but it's just probably because it's so ridiculous. And I think a lot of the show is ridiculous. And look, that might not be people's alley for humor. And, at this point, probably just have not watched it up to episode 5, or we'll watch the entire season. But if you have, I hope you found that part hilarious too. And it's sort of like one of those moments we'll get to in just a moment too, in my next point. But Peacemaker, he's essentially a big bully, right? And he's especially targeting Economos and keeps calling him Diebeard and makes fun of him with the presentation. Kind of snaps a little bit at Hardcore for saying, "Oh, she's smarter than Google," because of the whole Superman likes poop bit. And again, I think for the sake of what I think Peacemaker is going to grow out of in this season is because of the realizing the talk and the conversation that he has later on with Adebayo, at his apartment. I think the other hilarious part from this episode was Economos chainsawing the gorilla just because it was so damn bloody. And you kind of knew it was going to happen. He had that look after Vigilante said he just wanted to chainsaw someone, and again, I don't know why. It was super gruesome, but at the same time, it's not real. It was just hilarious in my opinion. But I think for the sake of the humor in this season and this series, it's pretty consistent from episode to episode, and I think for the sake of what may or may not happen in the remaining 3 episodes is as Peacemaker is essentially trying to maybe mature. Maybe he'll still be a bit of a dick, but in just a less offensive and less like in sort of like intentional way. Because he kind of makes this thing. He makes this little statement to Adebayo. She's leaving the room. Like no one could take a joke anymore without feeling offended by it. And that's really true to, I'd say, to real life. Like, you kind of hear the whole snowflake, expression. And I think for the sake of, maybe with friends who and can kind of joke around with, I think we all have those friends that it's not so much we're picking on them, but for the sake of just joking around, like you kind of give your friends a little bit of a hard time because so and so always says this thing or he always complains, and you just kind of make jokes about it, sort of thing. And I mean, there's like a limit, right? And I think you kind of know what is funny with your friends, and not to like really intentionally do it, but for this point in time, when they're having this PowerPoint presentation, even up to that point too, Economos and Peacemaker, they're not friends, obviously. And even after Economos is like, dude, stop calling me that, it's really pissing me off, to the point where Adebayo has to say something to Peacemaker for Economos, and I think it was the right thing to do, because moving into point 3, are the relationships in this series, especially in this episode, I think were have become more developed. Not so much with Vigilante, although we hear again that odd bullyish humor, when he called his brother Prince Charming, and then he calls him Thimble. I mean, it's just, I don't know, funny, hilarious. But I think the biggest points between the other characters, again, Peacemaker and Economos, about the Hanoi Rocks band, like that was a connection we could just tell by watching. That's going to be vital at some point. He's got the tattoo 11th Street Kids on his arm, and Lith Street Kids, as Vigilante was looking at it. It kind of did look like that, not going to lie. But at the same time, you could just tell Peacemaker had a little bit more respect for Economos at that very moment when they were driving to this warehouse, right? And I think for the sake of what happens at the end of that scene, or the warehouse shindig, where Economos takes the chainsaw and kills Charlie the gorilla, and there's the Predator, Arnold, and Dylan, you son of a bitch. You know what I mean? Like, that had this sort of like bro moment, and he's like, you're a fucking stud. He's like, yeah, I am a fucking stud. And I was just laughing again at that point, because I'm like, you know what? They're growing. The relationship is developing. They're moving forward. They're progressing. I still think that he'll probably make some jokes and cracks at Economos, but maybe not as much. And maybe again, just more joking, like, hey, you're my bud, well, I'm still gonna crack jokes at you, sort of thing. Harcourt, obviously, we still know that Peacemaker wants to get and sleep with Harcourt, and she again, on the ride to the factory or the warehouse, she doesn't like the metal, the rock, and anything like that, and makes fun of Poison, and doesn't want to listen to some any band that he just throws out, right? And but at the end, when they're rocking out, and Peacemaker says, "Not so bad, huh, Harcourt?" And she's smiling, and then she takes out her phone and takes a picture, and then later on she starts a chat group and calls it the 11th Street Kids, and and again, she didn't have to do that, but I think she's starting to really warm up to this crew, this team that they have assembled. And who knows, maybe Peacemaker will get lucky. Don't know, but if he will, it'll probably be with the assistance or the help and the advice that Adebayo gives him when she goes into in his place to have a terrible drink, but turned into a beer. Get another little appearance by Eagly in the bathroom, just chilling on the toilet. But she even says, like, if you just stop trying to be a dick and pressing on people, like, you're not that bad of a guy. Just, be Chris Smith, and I think, I'm sure it probably will sort of get to him a little bit over the course of the next 3 episodes. But I think Adebayo feels bad for him, especially when she has to plant this diary, which was most likely from Amanda Waller, her mother. I don't think Murn had her do that. Oh, no, yeah, there's the text message that came from Amanda Waller. Just kidding. Caught myself there. But she just had this look right at the end, and then it cuts to her driving, right? And she's leaving a voicemail to her bae, and she's saying, like, this job's really fucking me up, and drives back to HQ. Murn's there, still working. Fourth point. When Adebayo gets to the HQ, she sees the X-ray helmet that Peacemaker was wearing, right? Puts it on, is joking around, like, "Oh, it's so cool." Looks at Murn, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And he freaks out, and then screeches at her, runs, knocks the gun out of her hand, and just kind of stares at her in the street, and it's raining, and then it cuts. And again, we get a little sneak peek from next week where there's really not much that gets added onto that scene in the moment, even for the next week preview, but it looks like he doesn't kill her. And so I'm wondering if he's going to either say, keep this a secret, you can't tell anyone, or maybe he tells her just a little bit, and then why she can't say anything to anyone on the team, which, I think it'll be really hard for her to keep it a secret. And who knows, maybe he comes out in the next episode and tells the entire team, or figures out, hey, it's finally time to tell the entire team what's going on, a little bit more information about it all. But there's still a lot we don't know about Clems and Murn, aside from getting a visit from a very strange individual whose name is Casper Locke, who has done some really fucked up things in the past, according to Murn, and it seems like Murn has as well. But he says he's a changed man, which he's a little something else as well too. So again, it's going to be really interesting to sort of see what happens between Murn and the team, and then this Casper Locke guy. Is he also a butterfly, or is that Murn's superior? Like, there's outside of Amanda Waller, right? Like, the thought crossed my head is, what if Amanda Waller is a butterfly too? Like, that would be some shit. But we'll find out. I think there's some really interesting plot points to still develop in these last 3 episodes. And again, I think we're going to get a good story continuing on. The warehouse scene in general, the factory scene when Peacemaker's just rolling around with the shotgun and just blasting people's heads off. Crazy. It's obviously not real, but again, I know how that can make people squeamish and whatnot. But crazy. I didn't expect it at first. I was like, oh shit, he just blew her head off. And then Annabelle was like, what the fuck? He could have given me a warning, a sign. And he goes, yeah, I blasted her head off. That was a sign. He's like, you need to chill. He's like, do I not look chill right now? He actually did look pretty chill, but I know it's just sort of acting and whatnot. But still, that's again sort of this humor that gets tied into it, which, you know, is just maybe a little bit of an, I don't know, like a non-coincidence. But anyway, what do you all think about this episode? Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was good or bad? I'd say I'd probably give this episode maybe an 8.5. Again, I really liked a lot of it. I think it had, again, good humor, developed, a plot points with August Smith, the detective song. It was a really good humor. Furthers developments. We learn, more, about the butterflies and the characters, or at least one character knowing about Murn. And that the next week's episode, again, we've got Senator DeGoff as a butterfly who draws a peace symbol in the jar. And of course, it looks like he's trying to reach out to Peacemaker or wants to make peace, one of the two, and or both. And the police are raiding Peacemaker's little home there. And then there's this mysterious voice that says, like, you have no idea what you're doing or what you've gotten yourself into, right? And there's a bunch of the flying objects, and it's Detective Song who's there just looking at it, which I think all those little flying objects are maybe what the butterflies actually travel in. Could be wrong. But again, I think there's a lot of things still to be known to us, but I'm excited. Again, I've the more I watch this show, the more I actually like it. And I know a lot of people aren't a big John Cena fan, but if you are, I hope you're enjoying this season as much as I am, and this episode. So let me know what you all think in the comments. And until next time, I'll catch you guys on the next Peacemaker video. Peace out.